Hello, everyone. My name is Caprice Jones. I'm the Executive Director of the Founding Youth Program in Dubuque, Iowa. And for many of you, I know you may see this mini series of myself and Adolfo Davis and wonder why would I do a mini series with someone that's in Chicago. Well, this particular mini series touches a lot of areas. We talk about trauma, traumatic bonding, traps, being caught up in them, mass incarceration, as well as prison pipeline to prison industrial complex, to extreme poverty, to generational poverty mindsets. And that's what the Founding Youth Mission is about. Changing the mindsets that contributes to generational poverty. I would like you guys to take an in-depth journey into the life of a young man that was basically set up for failure from the start. But I want you to walk with us as we navigate through the ways that change came about in our lives. Adolfo Davis was sentenced to 14 years without the eligibility of parole with life. His case was a national model for it being unconstitutional for juveniles to be sentenced as adults. Adolfo Davis claimed that he was a grown man at 8 years old because he had to fend for himself. I claimed that I was a grown man at 12 years old because I felt that I needed to fend for myself. And so we have a contrast of a person that was trapped in a whirlwind of confusion. But at 12 years old and at 8 years old, your brain is not developed and you truly are not a man. And so we suffered as children. And so we discuss this in depth in a two-part series. And so I would like for you all to open up your minds, open up your hearts, to be able to really truly understand that generational poverty is a nuisance in the world. And we need to find ways to bring people out, just as the Founding Youth do on a daily basis. So I thank you and enjoy.
So I have with me today an old friend of mine from back in 1989. His name is Adolfo Davis, and I'm gonna let him share with you all that's watching, the early stages of his life, because that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the early stages of his life because I think it ties closely into intergenerational poverty, just as well as myself. The interesting part about Adolfo's life is I didn't know his circumstances that he was dealing with, because I thought he was dealing with the same things as me, but he was dealing with like traumatic experiences on a different level, because certain things that he did when we was kids, he had to do. But things that I did when we was kids, I didn't have to do. I was just attracted to doing anything to either fit in or find some type of sense of self or belonging or love. I was looking for love. I wanted friends. It didn't matter the cost of what it took to become a friend with somebody, and it cost me a world of trouble. But when I read about him while he was in prison, it made me, man, it blew my mind, because it took me to a different place. It took me to really understand him, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to now be able to speak to him about the things that we probably would never been able to speak about if we'd have stayed stuck. But more than likely, we'd have been dead if we'd have both still been out on the streets. But by the grace of God, we both made it through the streets, as well as we made it through prison. And so I'm gonna turn it over to Adolfo. What we want to talk about today, I want to explore with you, man, what's considered a pipeline to prison, to positive, productive platforms, and why that's very necessary for a person to live a life and have to be able to overcome the obstacles that they once faced. So, welcome, Dawfo. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I ain't behind the wall, so everything else good.
Okay.
So it's been a long time. You know, it's
Yeah.
good to see you. I'm proud of you. You know, we come a long way. You know, like you were saying, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Since I can remember, my mom did drugs. My father was here when he wanted to be. So I started going to the streets. I didn't start off doing bad. I started off hustling, pumping gas, shoveling snow, doing the odd jobs at this church on 55th in Indiana, Pastor T.L. Barrett. And that was kind of a bad experience for me too, because I found out he was selling drugs. So that kind of shook me spiritually. So I started stealing from that church once I found out that he was selling drugs. Then one day I was just pumping gas, and this I met my best friend, and they come up there and they was like, man, you at our gas station. And I was like, man, this ain't your gas station. I was up here first. They said, no, man, we run this gas station. You owe us some money. You got to give us half of what you got. So I wasn't going. We started fighting. The next day I was back up there. They come back up there. We fighting again. And the third time I saw them, I thought they was going to fight me again, but they was like, man, we see you got some heart. Come ride with us. So I did. But at the same time, we wasn't gang banging. We wasn't robbing nobody. We wasn't doing any of that. We was pumping gas, shoveling snow, doing what we do. We fight, we get in trouble, but we weren't doing no criminal activities as far as stealing and selling drugs and all that. So one day I was just so hungry. I knew at my house I had my brother, my auntie, my auntie kids, my uncle, two of my uncles, my mother, and I think another one of my cousins. So I knew it wasn't gonna be no food in the house. So I was so hungry, I saw this little girl coming out the store. And when I saw her coming out the store, she had a bag of food in her hand. I tried to snatch it. And when I tried to snatch it, she held on to it and ran, but she dropped $3 food stamp and 75 cents. I picked it up and went to go buy me something to eat. 2 days later, I got arrested for armed robbery. I was 9 years old. I went to the 51st and Wentworth police station, and we didn't have no phone. They couldn't get in contact with my mom or my grandmother or nobody. So I went to the ID home for the first time. I was 9 years old, but strong armed robbery. When I went there, I was scared because I heard all these stories. But when I went there and they put me they fed me, gave me a shower and fed me and put me in a one-man room. I got up in the morning, went to court and went home. I started going to the ID home on purpose. From 9 years old, a murder case in 1990, October, I went to the ID home for murder October 9th, 1990. And didn't get released from prison until March of 2020. But sitting in them cells all them years thinking about my life. And like you spoke about, like I was attached to, I loved it, GD. But the crazy part about it, I didn't even join GD. I just happened to fall into it. We just happened to fall. We used to walk around calling ourselves GD. We didn't get plugged in. We didn't get blessed in. We just happened to fall into being a GD. And the love that they gave me, made me like, man, I want to get this at home, so I got it here. I don't have to worry about eating. I got it here. I ain't got to worry about nobody watching my back. I got it here. And that became my false sense of love and loyalty, and I would die for them. I didn't think about living or dying. Whatever happened, happened. And that false sense of love and loyalty landed in prison with a natural life sentence. Then when I went to prison, I still had that mind state. Like you spoke of earlier, GD to the world blow up. I got it tattooed on my chest, branded. I used to walk around every day with my shirt off just to let people know this what I'm in. GD to the world, blow up. I don't care what you do, I'm a GD. I was brainwashed by this false reality, this false love, this false sense of loyalty, and it destroyed me. When it destroyed me, I destroyed people. My actions destroyed people's lives. My actions put somebody else in the same position that I was in. They looking up at me. Now I destroyed their life because they doing the same thing I was doing. But in reality, I was only doing what I felt at that time I needed to do because I didn't have nothing else to fall back on. No mother. My mother loved drugs more than she loved me. My father loved his other kids more than he loved me. My grandmother, I love her to death. But she had so much stuff to try to take care of, she couldn't put all her focus on me. But I wanted my mom and I wanted my dad. So that pain forced me into the streets. I started running the streets when I was 8 years old. When nobody come looking for me, I came home when I wanted to come home. Nobody. That right there even shook me a little bit. Like, damn, when Gerald, Marla, the people I hung out with, when they stayed out, their grandma come and look for them. Somebody in their family come and look for them. But for me, no. He cool. I come home 3 days later, ain't nothing. It ain't like I'd never been gone. Because they didn't care. So that emotionally destroyed me, mentally destroyed me. And I don't know if you remember this game we used to play called Say I Never Save Your Life. We'll be walking across the street and I'll push you in front of a car or L and try to pull you back as fast as possible. Say I never save your life. And one day, this guy pushed me in front of a car and I got hit. He couldn't pull me back fast enough. He got hit by a car on 55th, right up on the L. I jumped up and I got hit by a car. I shook it off, jumped up like, hey, nothing never happened. But sitting in prison thinking about my life, I say, man, I was messed up. Man, I was messed up, man. What? How did I make it this far? But I look, man, God put me through all of that to put me here right now. Yes, it hurt. That's why I dedicate my time, as much time as I could, to show the young that, man, it's gonna hurt. But you got people that genuinely care for you. You got people that gonna have your back. Don't fall victim to that false sense of love, that false sense of loyalty, because you're gonna fall right into a graveyard or into a prison cell. Fact. Ain't nothing out of that fact. It's nothing else gonna happen to you. But you can change that. So time when I got old, I learned about trauma and the brain development. And I come to realize, like, can't no child take on all that stuff. Eventually that child gonna blow up. And at the end of the day, that's what I did. I was too young and too weak to control myself, and I did things that I'm paying for today and society paying for today, because even though I changed my life, somebody I influenced ain't changed their life. So this cycle continues until we wake up and see that, man, it's not worth it. It never was. So like you say, man, we got to heal. We got to first take a step back and hold ourselves accountable. Regardless of what happened around us, how we feel about how somebody treating us, we got to hold ourselves accountable. We have a decision to make, and that decision is to shake it off and keep moving, or let it put you in a situation where you're gonna hurt somebody, somebody gonna hurt you, and you're gonna destroy your life and you destroy somebody else's life. So I came to a decision in 1998 when I went to Tam Supermax prison that I'm no longer gonna allow my past or my feelings to dictate my future. And when I decided that, at that time I had natural life in prison. And look where I'm at now. Because I made a decision. And that decision not only changed my life, but changed people's lives around me. And I couldn't did that without making a decision. And it hurt. I'm not gonna lie, because I love my homies. I love them to death because I grew up with them. But I love myself even more. Once I realized what love was, I love myself even more. I love myself enough, like, man, if it's gonna take you to jump on me, whatever it takes for me to get my life, to go ahead, I don't care. I'm ready to accept anything that's gonna come my way, just like I was willing to accept anything that was gonna come my way when I was in it. 9 minutes for me. And here I am. Because I made that decision. That's when it all comes down to, you got to make a decision.
And thanks for sharing that. So let's go back to when you first was in juvenile detention for a case that could send you away. Okay, so back in 1990, it wasn't like everybody like that was young was getting sentenced as adults, right?
Nah, it was if you call it murder, yeah.
Also, back then, that was the beginning of them like starting to sentence people as adults.
No, that's what we thought. But when you go in there, it's a lot of people got sentenced as adults. You want to just get life, so it was not no big deal. But when they started giving you life, like I was the third, I was 14 years old. I was the youngest person. It was 3 of us, the youngest people in Illinois that got life. So it was not known that they was giving us life. You got guys in there with attempt murders. You had guys in there with gun cases that got charged as adult, but you ain't really hearing nothing about that. But when they started giving us life, that's when it started getting like, man, this real. When I got life, guys, I didn't even know what the hell I had. I didn't know how much time I had until I was like 21 years old. That really, I was walking around like I had an alligator. When they gave me life, I didn't have no emotions from the judge, nothing. I didn't know what was going on. So I'm looking back on like, how they gonna give me life and give us life, and we don't even know what that is. You can't even comprehend what you saying to us. I'm thinking I got an outdate. I'm telling man, I'm gonna come home in a couple of years, and all the time according to them, I was never coming home. I didn't even know that. And the juveniles didn't even know that. So it's like, how could you give me that much time and I don't even know what that means? When I got old and started seeing the things that was happening to me from the courts, it made me angry. And I started self-destruction. I just started doing most stuff, the same thing I was doing out there, I was doing in prison. And I self-destruct because I didn't understand, like, damn, I said, man, I ain't never coming home. I ain't never gonna have no child. I ain't gonna never have no family. And it hurt. And that's the reason why the judge gave me life back, is when, because the things I did in prison. It's sad, man. I still feel that pain, though. I ain't gonna lie, cause no child should be thrown away like that. I'm with accepting responsibilities, but at the same time, come on. the worst of the worst criminals in the United States of America goes up for parole board every year. Serial killers go up for parole. But in Illinois, ain't no parole hearing for a juvenile. You got natural life. But these people have life with the possibility of parole, and we don't compare to them at all. So it's just something that I fight against now. I fight for justice for juvenile lifers, because it's harsh. I remember them days clear as day. Getting that time and not knowing what the hell I was a happy little kid. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to DOC. I'll be home in a minute. You know what I'm saying? They ain't have it like that.
When did it actually dawn on you that that you basically you was deemed not to ever come home?
I was like 21.
I mean, like, do you remember the moment when it hit you?
I was in SED. I was in House in Stateville. I was in SED, and my rap Burdell, we was sellies, and he was like, man, we got to file this post conviction, man. I said, I got a lawyer. He like, man, you don't got no lawyer. I said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't, boy. No appeal got denied. Now you on your own. I said, what? I'm thinking that a lawyer's gonna be with me forever. So he like, man, you tripping. You got life. I'm like, man, what you mean I got life? He's like, man, you got 2 natural lives in 90 years. Boy, you playing games. Boy, you keep playing, you ain't never go home. We ain't got no outdate. I'm like, what? He like, yeah, boy, you don't got no outdate. And I was like devastated. I think I ain't sleep for a long time. And I didn't care no more. I went to SEG in 1995. I didn't get out to 2002. I'm gone. I was doing stuff to make the police I was hoping the police killed me. But for some reason, they loved me. The CO, they say, man, look, Spoon, sit your butt down. I ain't writing you up. And I'm like, why are these people, you know what I'm saying? Why is these people treat me like that? Even when I went to Tams, man, it's like they took a liking to me, like my spirit. You know what I'm saying? So it started making me think like, man, you know, so once I started believing and loving myself, I like, man, if I'm gonna die in prison, I'm gonna stop somebody else from dying in prison. And I don't think I shared this with you. When I went back to court, well, I stopped doing my slots, right? I stopped praying, everything. I went back to court, the judge gave me my life back. Cracked me, bam. I came back to Stateville. I started my slots, I started praying. I said, man, I'm gonna be here, I'm good. But I told my people, I said, you know what, I'll be home in 5 years. I'll be home in 5 years. Watch. She resentenced me to natural life. When I went back, I won my case on appeal for a resentencing hearing. And when I went back for a resentencing hearing, my judge deemed that I wasn't fit to return to society. So she gave me natural life sentence to me. She resentenced me to natural life. So when she resentenced me to natural life, I had to go back to prison. I went back to Stateville. I was hurt, but I told my people, I said, I'll be home in 5 years. I promise you that. I went back, I started doing my salazzi. I was focused. And so when I hit the Gary, I'm looking, I see somebody down there on the floor, and somebody, I'm thinking they playing, but it's this inmate beating the police, beating this police brains in. Now I'm in one cell, they had 24 cells, and you got all these inmates on the Gary. Kill that B, kill that B. I'm walking. I'm thinking it's gonna be over with before I get there, but it's not. So without even thinking, I went up there, grabbed a young brother, pulled him off the officer, pushed to the back, said, man, you made your point. Don't jag your life off like that. And you can tell he wanted somebody to grab him because he didn't put up no fight. He just moved with me. So police on flow. We go on lockdown, everything. We come off lockdown, guys threaten me. Man, you bogus. You said you helped the police out. I said, man, look, the Quran say if I save one life, it's like I'm saving humanity. I don't move off your rules and regulations. I move off God's rules and regulations now. But I say, let me just take a step back. You don't want none of this. You better ask about me. So stop playing with me. And I say, and I walked away. They transferred me to Galesburg like they was doing something good for me. So one day I'm there. My lawyer called and said, I called my girl. She said, man, the state, your lawyer said, man, the state just offered you 60 years. I said, what? She said, yeah, you gonna take it? I said, yeah, I'm gonna take it. So she said, she gonna call you. So I talked to my lawyer. I said, man, what happened? I said, man, let them know I say the police. She said, they already know that. That's why they gave you your time. They called the prison asking about you to see what you were up to before they came to offer you this deal. When they seen that, they knew you weren't the person that the judge say you was. So Kim Fox decided to give you a second chance. So I say that to say, man, we being tested even when we don't even know it. I could have came back and just went crazy like I did before. Let's see what he is. Even the creator tests you, not for other people to see you, but for you to see yourself. Because back in the day, I probably would have joined him beating the police up. Or just turned around and let him do what he wanted to do. But at that point, that officer's life is more important, just as important as your life. I was being tested even when I didn't know I was being tested. And look what happened. So it's people like, man, Spoon Cake, boy, I can't believe you did that. Like you say, that attachment of the old you into the person that you are now. Like you say, that name is still attached to so much crazy stuff that Spoon Cake. Oh no, here you guys, you did that, man. It wasn't. Don't tell me it was you. I said, yeah, it was me. They like, man, you changed. You changed for real. I said, man, what you think I was faking? I don't fake. The same way I was doing, the same way I'm doing it for my life. So now that I know that judge sick, but I don't care. I know the state's attorney sick, but I don't care because they hard and their spirit is not in the right place. You know, so I just feel so blessed and grateful that I'm not bitter about my life like I used to be. I love my mom to death. I be trying to go over there every chance I get. Mom, I don't care about that stuff. I love you. I can't see my father right now because I know we all had something. My mama wasn't always like that. Some touched her to make her become who she was. Some touch you to make you become who you are. Some touch me to make you become who. And it's always a reason. Come on, man. Look, you see my chair? I got the fold up, right?
Yeah.
This what you used to sit on. Now look at you. You sitting on a cushion. You know, I'm right now. I'm at phase one of my development. You got your office. Come on, man. You was robbing, doing God know what. But it was always in us. But we were so blinded by the hurt and trauma in our household, the trauma in the streets, the false love, the false reality, that we did stuff. We played Russian roulette with our life. But now, look at us, man. I'm so happy. Come on. From 53rd Indiana to right now, come on. Man, it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful that you ain't end up, or I ain't end up dead. Or like you say, the Fed joint, and you ain't never getting out of there. If they get you like they want you, you stuck. Ain't no appeals. So I'm just grateful, man, that everything we went through is to get us here. So my belief is we can stop someone else not to go through it, or give them understanding, adults. I'm gonna say what they call it, young adults, the opportunity to see and make a right decision before they end up going through what, because man, I'm just grateful I went crazy, but I came back. I think I had to go through all that to wash it out. And Tams for me personally, Tams was my solitude that I needed. Because you dealing with yourself. Everything you do is self. Self. If somebody want, I tell everybody, if you want to find out who you is, find yourself, go somewhere by yourself. So you can stop trying to block out them voices that be telling you the truth. You know what I'm saying? If you go somewhere by yourself, you're gonna hear yourself telling you you stupid. Man, what you doing? But when you're around all this stuff, you can't, it ain't getting to you because you're so used to doing all this other stuff, you running from it. But we all need the opportunity to just listen to ourselves. Once we listen to ourselves gonna tell us the truth. Our body tells us the truth all the time. You eating bogus stuff, it mess your body up. If you ain't working out and taking care of yourself, what's gonna happen? Your mind do the same thing. If you ain't feeding it right, it's gonna tell you. But we so blinded that we listen to these voices to help block it out. We run from it. You running from it. Go somewhere, take some time to yourself, and guarantee you're gonna come out there. If you listen to yourself, you're gonna come out a whole different person without having to go to prison, without having to get shot and get paralyzed or something like that. Just go somewhere by yourself and really listen to yourself. And it's a beautiful thing, man. I listen to myself every day. If I would listen to myself years ago, I would never been incarcerated. Because you always hear it. You always hear it, man. Through the trauma, through all that voice don't never leave. We just put stuff around it to block it out. Stop blocking the voice out. Listen to yourself. Because at the end of the day, self is the only person that can get you out of anything. So
it's a joy to me to hear somebody else experience what it means. Like, it's a thing called I know you probably heard this before. It's called you got to be present in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And so present in the moment usually is talking about being present. Like, if I'm talking to you, I got to be present in the moment to understand what you're saying. Like, to really to be able to empathize or sympathize, or to get to hear what you're saying. So, but I got this thing where I say being present in the moment of your own life. Be present in the moment of your own life. Like, you got to get to know who you are. And if we chasing all these images of other people, thinking that they got the answers to like what they like say, for we chasing, okay, put it like this. When you was 14 years old, you had no clue of what your purpose could be on this earth. So you basically was following, mimicking different people's lives that you probably looked to as examples, that you was, found pleasure in, things we find pleasure in. So like when you said about like if you pay attention to your body, things you eat, if you don't have no control, no self-control or focus or direction, it's gonna ruin you. So it's kind of like you get out what you put in. So by us growing up in generational poverty, one of the things that took place when we was kids was it was a cycle of things that took place since our parents was kids, since they parents was kids. And it was basically like what we learned was we learned how to settle for less, thinking it's the best. So like, say for instance, like when you first had your first pack selling drugs, you thought that was the best thing ever possible. You got money coming. But in reality, because in the neighborhood that we grew up in, that was considered the best thing possible to get some money. Like that was like you was cool, you was popular, you was you didn't want for whatever you wanted as a kid. But in reality, that was kind of like, it was like the worst thing could ever happen to a kid, because it's gonna strip us of being able to see who we really could be. What if you weren't meant to be a drug dealer? Well, how old are you now?
43.
43 years old. Do you think that you was meant to be a drug dealer for the rest of your life?
No.
So now the thing is, imagine now you was locked up for all those years, and you'd have heard about all the people that got killed that you was hanging with back when you was young, and they was drug dealers probably. Do you think that it was worth it for them to get killed over selling drugs?
No.
So now we dealing with a different enemy these days. Things have got way worse than when we was kids, man.
Man, tell me about it.
And what I'm looking at now I'm gonna tell you though, a lot of the things that's happening when we was kids is out of control, because it's the cycle continuing. It just get worse. Like a virus, it mutates. It get worse. So put it like this. You was known as Spoon Cake when you was 14, right?
Yeah.
Because of people like me that was still on the streets all those years, not having no guidance for me, and I definitely didn't have no guidance for my little brother that's now 32 years old with a lot of traumatic experiences that he done been through as a kid already. And I was in prison. He always said I abandoned him. I left him out there by himself. I ain't had no roadmap to teach him how, like what's called personal development. You got to have personal development in order to become somebody. But here it is, we thought having those names and having a gun or trying to shoot somebody was the way to manhood.
Dukes, bogus boys for life. Thought it was everything to me.
Come on, man.
Man, all of them, 90% of them dead.
Come on,
or in prison. But at that moment, what you ain't getting at home, you getting where you think you getting there. That love, that support, a good roof over your head, money in your pocket. Man, girls. You know what I'm saying? I used to had 3 sets of clothes when I used to go to Carter school. They used to talk about, that's how I started fighting. They used to talk about my clothes so much that I fought them so they wouldn't talk about my clothes. They would get scared of me. So ain't no more talking about Spoon. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I started fighting. I wanted some Adele doors. I wanted some LA Gear boots. I wanted all this stuff because I was getting talked about. So it made me go and pump gas and do that. I just go to rumor sale to get shoes that they was all right, but I was still getting talked about. So when I started getting that wake up, it was over with. I was shopping. I didn't do drugs. I went straight to the clothing store because I wanted to prove something that I didn't even have to prove. But I didn't understand that as a child. I didn't have to prove myself to them. I was okay with what I was wearing. You made me not okay with what I was wearing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I let you live in my head. But as a kid, you don't understand that. But in reality, we was cool with who we was. We stopped being cool with who we was because other people weren't cool with who we was. So we changed who we was to be who they want us to be, and that landed us down the wrong path. So we was searching. We was trying to be something that we want, even though we didn't have nothing. We was okay with it. We weren't okay with it when the neighbors started talking crazy about us. I ain't going to ask her for no more sugar. I'm finna go steal me some sugar. You know, I'm not finna be, because I know they talking about us. Damn, did y'all just come over here for some sugar or some eggs? Okay, I'm finna go steal me some. We don't gotta worry about that. You know, so that's what I try to get out there. Like, man, you cool with who you is. You just doing it because somebody else ain't cool with it. Who cares? I'm cool with it. Be cool with who you is. We let people get in our head, but we didn't know no better. We was kids. We wanted this every day until we became friends.
So hold that thought right there. We're gonna close out on this one. I want to know if we can come back and do another one. Because my goal is that somebody who ever hear this is that it sparks something in them to want better for themselves. Because look, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I said, just let me know, man. I'm always here. Anytime after 6 o'clock, man, look, just let me know. I'll put some, whatever I got going on. If it's not important, I got you. Just let me know I'm here.
We're gonna resume this conversation because I think this is what people that's growing up in generational poverty, whether you white, black, Puerto Rican, Chinese, whoever, we need to talk about the things that destroyed us so that we'll know not to keep looking to that to build us up. Because it's not going to build us up. What's going to build us up is the truth. So I thank you, man. I love you, man.
I love you too, brother.